Today is November the 10th, 2023, and we are going back to our spreadsheet that we created on day one. I just moved things a little bit around, so we have the strongest one, Nasdaq, on top, which on November 1st was up 30%, and the second one was the S&P 500, following by the Dow, and Russell 2000 was the weakest one out of four indices. So today we're going to take a look at all these four indices after they had a phenomenal week of rallying from lows, and we'll see how they performed relatively one to another. Our first stop is Nasdaq 100. This is the bottom or the beginning of the move that started on October the 26th. And Nasdaq was up a little bit more than 8%, and we had one day of the sell-off, and we're still sitting here up 7.3%. Now the next on our stop is the S&P 500, and here we go from the bottom. Goes up 6.8% and 5.6%. Then we go to the Dow. There's the Dow, 5.7% rally, and it is, let's round it up. Our last stop is the Russell, and here is our weakest index. Runs up 8%, and today it is right here. So here I'll just delete this, and we are going to input some values. What I'm trying to illustrate here is that if you take the strongest and the weakest indices, what happens is that the strongest normally go up by a lot more than the weakest ones, and when there is a reversal, they sell off a lot slower. In this case, we can see that the biggest performer was the strongest index, Nasdaq 100, and when there was a pullback, or the first pullback, it gave back the least amount. Now if we look at the Russell, yes, it rallied up 8%, but then it came down crashing a lot faster. So one more time, looking at our four major indices, Nasdaq 100 rallied the most, and on the first day it came back the least. Then we had the S&P 500. The S&P 500 rallied 6.8% from its bottom, and on the first day it pulled back and it's up 5.7. We'll look at the Dow, 5.7 to 4.5, and Russell was up 8%, and the first day the other three major indices showed weakness. It was already down to 3% up from the bottom of previous low. Okay, here's our Nasdaq. Here is our Dow. You can see that the pullback is a little bit greater. Here is our S&P 500, and here is our weakest performer, Russell. Make it a little bit bigger here. I hope you can see the difference. So the reason we built this spreadsheet and looked at where the strength is if the markets are going up or if they're going down. So if they're going up, we'll expect that Nasdaq 100 will be the leader and Russell 2000 will be the lagger. Or if there is a reversal, Russell 2000 will lead the sell-off and sell off quicker relative to the Dow, the S&P, and the Nasdaq. And that's basically how you want to approach looking at the markets and expecting what could happen in the future. Nasdaq made its higher high. Here's the previous high. Here's the new high. We're looking at the Dow. Here's the previous high. Here's the new high. Made a higher high. We looked at S&P 500, and S&P 500 did not make a high. And Russell, of course, did not make a higher high. This is clearly, here's a previous high right here. And here is our high from the rally that ended 3 days ago. So we have another lower low for Russell, and we have a lower high.